Let me preface this by saying I hate React content, but I'm doing this anyways. The reason I'm doing this video is simply put because I already talked about Freya. I think Freya is beautifully designed. I think that the way that she plays is very fun. I think balance is the problem with Freya. So when this video popped onto my feed, I felt like I really needed to watch it, and I don't even know if I'm going to upload this right now, but just in case I see something in this video that I think is worth talking about, I want my first reactions on it. So,
Overwatch is a game of rules. Play high grounds, use cover, don't play Widow if you're gold,
true!
etc. At the top level, the teams who play the best are those who can consistently follow those rules and only break them to surprise their opponents.
Yes, I'm glad that she clarified the surprise your opponents thing, because that is something that I always advocate for to throw off the other team's rhythm. Yeah.
The nuance of Overwatch and why it's so difficult.
I also, sorry for pausing right now, but I also want to specify real quick that this is something very important to me. I think Coach Whistle is great. I love her videos. If you want good, high quality Overwatch content, watch Coach Whistle. Genuinely, because like as you can see, I've seen a lot of her videos. I didn't watch the builder meta video because I couldn't be damned to. Also didn't get around to her first 3 videos. Like, she has some great videos. She has great content. I love her content. She's a great YouTuber. Unfortunately, the thumbnail alone on this one really got to me because she's not broken by design, and I want to see what she talks about on that topic.
Comes from situations where these rules become hard to follow or when characters break those rules. For example, say you're playing Winston and the other team swaps to Cassidy and Torbjorn with a Baptiste and Brigitte backline.
Then you just don't go in. Realistically, if I was coaching here, I would just say don't go in. You play your presence, and you try to distract the enemy team as much as possible, you know?
In most cases, Winston wants to dive and fight the enemy backline, but against a composition like this, he has to pick his dives more carefully, sometimes being unable to dive anyone due to the risk of blowing up even through his bubble. Or say that you're playing Ashe and the other team is on Widowmaker. Usually, Ashe wants to sit far back and get picks on the enemy team's backline, but that suddenly becomes difficult since Widow does it better than her and beats Ashe in the 1v1 at nearly any distance.
Yeah, I mean, she's raising some very good points.
But against Sombra, a hero who can turn completely invisible, they aren't nearly as safe, having to rely on pure reaction time or aid from their team to survive her flanks.
So, admittedly, I think Sombra's problems are very overblown. The reason I think Sombra's problems are very overblown is simply put because her strength is that her power budget is much lower simply because she has invisibility. And she's got that 4 meter radius around her, which is she's detectable through, right? If you're within 4 meters of Sombra, you know where she is. You can spy check. There are counterplay. There's counterplay options to Sombra. Like, you can stop a hack. There's a pretty big window where you can stop it, in my opinion, at the very least. Like, yeah, you will be cut out a lot of the time, but if you are specifically acutely aware of Sombra, especially with the current iteration where the invis is not infinite, you can counterplay it very, very effectively. It does take a bit of practice and it does take a bit of awareness, but you can get around to practicing it and you can get around to playing against her. At least in terms of the solo queue experience, and coordinated play is obviously much different. The only time it is bad, I will admit, is walking back from spawn. They still haven't done anything to really truly address that yet. But once they do, then like that is a situation where I think like Sombra's a bit problematic. But the fact that her power budget is so low just because she has invis, I think that she is fairly balanced because of that. And because like her dueling potential is not much better than a lot of supports, specifically Kiriko, Zen, Alari. Like, they duel about as well, if not better, than Sombra can a lot of the time, especially if Sombra can't get the hack.
Tanks usually have to focus most on controlling their position, when to walk forward, when to walk back, where to rotate, etc. This gets complicated or even thrown out the window against a Roadhog, who can pull you from 20 meters away if you show yourself for more than half a second. These two heroes in particular have something in common, though. While
Roadhog does kind of break the rules. I think that, like, if you're arguing that Hook breaks the rules because it dispositions people in the way that it does, I think that that's, I don't know, that feels a bit weird. Like, could the same argument be made about Junker Queen with her knife, or is that outside of the bounds because it's not a stun? Or is it a distance thing? If Roadhog didn't do so much damage, would he be fine? That's the kind of questions that I'm kind of asking right now. Like, you just have to play corners slightly differently against Roadhog. That's not what I find problematic about Roadhog. I find his tank busting and the way that squishies have to play against Roadhog to be the problem, rather than the way the tanks have to play against Roadhog. Because proper cooldown cycling and positioning management against Roadhog does a lot against him. Like, and Roadhog doesn't have that one-shot combo against tanks, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, realistically. I think that Roadhog is more of a problem for squishies than tanks, and the tank problem against Roadhog is just because he shoots you good. And then Vape is really the big problem with Roadhog. Like, no other tank in the game, other than, I guess, Smelga, has something like Vape, which just prevents him from dying so hard. Like, Orisa slows down during Fortify. Smelga does have Overrun, but he's locked out of movement. And then Smelga also has Cardiac, but Cardiac can be stopped pretty hard by Anti. And Smelga also, doesn't really move a lot. Like, he is inherently slower because he is firing both chain guns a lot of the time. He's moving around 70% base movement speed, and he's such a big target that he's always taking a ton of damage. Roadhog, on the other hand, when he's vaping, even especially if he has his second perk, he's moving faster. Like, I think Vape is the bigger problem with Roadhog breaking the rules than Hook. And Hook is a problem because it threatens a one-shot. And because it can disposition the enemy tank, sure, but I think that the way you can play around it is, pretty real.
Sombra and Roadhog break fundamental rules of the game. They sacrifice their entire kit to do so.
Yes.
Sombra, while good
that's the big part. It's the power budget conversation that I was talking about earlier with Sombra.
at getting to and fighting enemy supports, isn't as good at controlling lanes as a Genji or Tracer, and oftentimes has to forfeit that entirely.
And even though she's good at getting to the backline, she's not necessarily great at killing it, right? Like, yes, she is if she gets the perfect setup, but if she doesn't, if she can't get the hack off, like, Virus is great, but if there's any peel, she's not as efficient as, say, a Genji or a Tracer, because Genji and Tracer have pre-fight poke. Sombra's pre-engage poke doesn't exist because she's invisible, and she can't really sacrifice her invisibility to go in. Like, I don't know. Sombra is a bit of a different case, in my opinion. Like, she's not good at killing the backline. She's good at killing individuals, I guess, is how I would put it. That might be me being wrong, I will admit. But the main thing with Sombra is her ability to shut down an individual via hack, EMP, general just blow them upness in a sort of zombie comp style, or in a more ranked style, focus down somebody who's out of position.
Roadhog,
And then,
while he does do
yeah, she's not good at contesting so lanes, and her true assassination potential when there are people peeling isn't great, and she doesn't have that pre-fight poke that a Genji or Tracer would.
a good job of punishing people for stepping out of position, doesn't have the same tools to punish the enemy team like Orisa's Fortify.
He is a one-trick pony at punishing bad positioning. He is bad at everything else. He is bad at tank trades past the 5-meter mark. He is bad at contesting high grounds because he just literally can't. He's bad at escaping unless he has his tier 2 perk, and then he could just run away with Vape. I don't know. He's just kind of bad at everything if he doesn't hit the hook, right? That's Roadhog's problem, is he is so obscenely designed around hook. Where Sombra has like some strengths, some weaknesses, Roadhog is hook, and then downtime. Hook, then downtime.
Winston's Bubble, or Junker Queen's Shout. The point to be made is that Overwatch is a game of rules, and one of these rules is balance. A hero must either follow the traditional rules of the game, or sacrifice essential parts of the role they are supposed to fill in order to break them.
A good example to the contrary of this would be Zen, right? Zen doesn't break any rules, but he still sacrifices a lot. Modern supports have mobility. The only exceptions are Ana and Zen, realistically. Like, Bap has his tier 2 perk, Zen technically has levitate, but it doesn't push him vertically at all, so it doesn't do anything. Ana is the true exception, but she has so much value that it doesn't matter. Like, Ana's damage, healing, and anti are so much more impactful than Discord Orb. Modern Discord Orb has been butchered to no end to where it's not an important cooldown anymore. Especially when compared to the sheer amount of damage that somebody like Alari can pump out while having 105 healing per second on her secondary fire, while also having a better version of Harmony Orb out a lot of the time. Zen is just sad, man.
Enter Freya, a character who by most measures would fall under the long-range DPS or hit scan role.
Yes.
Among this role is characters like Sojourn, Ashe, or Cassidy.
And
These
Widow.
heroes tend to have a few main traits.
Like, there's also Widow, but she's bad. And Soldier. You know, you're missing Soldier there, but Soldier's been a real fucking character.
That define the strengths and weaknesses of the role as well as the nuance of where to play them. Hit scans tend to have more range than other heroes, strong tank pressure, and some way to very quickly eliminate enemy squishies.
Yeah.
These strengths are distributed amongst the role and usually balanced out by differing mobilities, how good these heroes are at taking duels, and how easy it is to kill these heroes.
So that's like, Widowmaker is the least survivable, Cass has probably the best duel potential, and then Soj is the most mobile, except now Freya is the most mobile. Soldier used to be the most mobile. Poor guy, he's also been insanely power crept. Now Soldier has the best tank pressure, arguably. I think he has the best DPS of all the hit scans. But he's generally the highest damage with the best. Like, he's the jack of all trades, just master of none, which means that he sucks.
Looking at these with other hit scans, we can see how they are relatively balanced within each kill these heroes. Looking at these with other hit scans, we can see how they are relatively balanced within each other.
Yeah, Ashe in particular, one thing I want to bring up is her head hitbox is way bigger than you'd think it was if you were just looking at a character model. She actually, I think, has the biggest or second biggest headshot hitbox of all the DPS in the game. Like, top 5 at the very least. Like, I forgot about Torbjorn and Bash. Or I forgot about just Torbjorn, not Bastion. But, like, I think it goes Torb, Bastion, Ashe, something like that. And then Widowmaker's also up there. Like, her head hitbox is huge, so she's really easy to kill. I'm not sure if I would call her mobility especially good, but it's not bad.
A good niche for each hero.
Sojourn's tank pressure is actually really good. I disagree. I disagree. I disagree.
Now let's examine these same statistics in Freya. Freya has...
So, this is... she's waiting to fill out the last 2 categories, I guess. Duels, she's incredible. She's great at duels and survivability. She's good. Pay very close attention to what she says here and listen closely to how she describes Freya's problems.
It's a very fast 2-shot on 250 HP targets, no damage fall-off, and absurd tank pressure. Beyond this, she is extremely mobile and is very dynamic in her movement. Herein lies the problem. Observant viewers will see I didn't yet rate her survivability or duel potential. On paper, she's not much better at either of these than the likes of Ashe. She has a similar time to kill, not the most forgiving hitbox, and less overall HP than Ashe.
She actually has a much more forgiving hitbox than Ashe. Like, if we're comparing hitbox sizes, Ashe is so easy to kill because she's fairly sluggish. Her mobility is not great. Like, I don't know why it was listed as good there. Like, her vertical mobility is attached to, what, a 10, 12-second cooldown? Yeah, a 10-second cooldown is her vertical mobility, and it's not even great like, it's good, it's very good, actually, vertical mobility. It's not great horizontal mobility, it's not good instant mobility, because it does have a little bit of a wind-up, and she's not very flexible with it. Her mobility is not very good. It's setup mobility is what it is. It's like worse version of Baptiste mobility, in my opinion. So I would not list her mobility as very strong. And then, like, Freya, that's a big part of what makes her survivability pretty poor, in my opinion. And then Freya's survivability is obviously slightly better than Ashe's because she's much smaller of a head hitbox. Slightly smaller body shot hitbox, I think. a different stance, which narrows her a little bit, and she is much more mobile, and she's going to be like way more mobile. So she's just moving around too much to hit.
So what's the problem? It's her mobility. Freya's mobility is dynamic. She has an omnidirectional hop that she can use several times in a duel.
It's not quite omnidirectional. Like Genji dash is omnidirectional, right? You can use it literally any direction. I would not call Freya's dash omnidirectional. It can be used up and any cardinal direction from the directions you're currently facing. You can obviously turn to expand those, but it can't be used like diagonally upwards. It can't be used downwards. There are some flaws to it, but it is still an amazing cooldown, obviously.
She can slow herself down in the air while moving any direction, and she has a jump that sends her relatively high, which she can also use for her slowdown mechanic. In combination, these things mean she can disengage super easily from anyone trying to kill her, and can actually win many more 1v1s than Ashe could, because the heroes she's dueling simply can't hit her as much as she can them.
I'm going to get back to that, but I think that is okay. I think that her mobility is fine. I'll get back to that later.
This puts Freya in the top of her role in all categories. That alone may seem like it's extremely broken, and while it is powerful, this still doesn't necessarily break the Overwatch formula. This puts an Ashe could.
Let me make this clear. So let's look at Ashe again versus Freya. So Freya versus Ashe. So Freya has 30 damage per hip fire shot. Ashe has 35 damage per hip fire shot. 4.81 per second, 3.9 per second. So Ashe actually has the lower DPS of the two. Freya actually... Wow. Holy shit. I actually thought that Freya was going to have lower. And it's a projectile, so it's bigger. A lot bigger. The radius is a full tenth of a meter. Meteor? The radius of the projectile is a full tenth of a meter larger than Ashe's unscoped shots, as well as reloading all at once with the same amount of ammo. I would honestly say this could be dropped to 25 or 28. Somewhere in that range to drop the DPS of this down a little bit, and maybe the ammo down to 10. Because this is a lot. Like, people don't realize how strong Freya's primary fire is because it is overshadowed by her scope shots, but this is still very strong. But then if we compare the scope shots, this is a lot. Let me pull up another character. You might be wondering, oh, what did I bring up Farah there? What is the explosion radius? I know the explosion radius is somewhere around here. Area of effect, 2.3 meters. Farah, 3.325. Sorry. Am I reading this wrong?
As it turns out, yes, I was reading it wrong. Freya's projectiles are significantly smaller than Farah's, but the explosion radius is barely smaller.
But this is simply the problem. This is Freya's problem. Let's be real here. It is her damage. Like, you can complain, oh, she's so mobile. But let's look at the bigger picture here. How many DPS, how many hit scans do we have? How many hit scans do we have that can 2-tap? We have Ashe and Cass. We have Sojourn, who can kind of get a 2-tap going with her rails, right? She has like that 1-tap threat, so she feels very similar to Cass and Ashe. How many mobile hit scans do we have? Sojourn, I guess? There's Freya. There is Freya. Soldier is a mobile DPS, but he's not very vertically mobile, so it's a bit of a question there. That's why I don't think Freya's mobility is the problem, because it's the thing that separates her from her role. If you want to nerf her mobility, you're homogenizing the hit scan role to be more boring and more frustrating. You want another character who consistently 2-taps and feels like they're one-shotting you. Beyond Ashe, beyond Cass, beyond Sojourn, beyond Widow, beyond Hanzo. You want another one? Rather than a mobile DPS character, how many characters do we have like Freya who are hit scan role, highly mobile, with good damage pressure? If we remove the 2-tap, we have Soldier. And he's a fucking joke. Let's be honest here, guys. With Bastion is not very mobile, but he's got his grenade jumps. He's got a perk to enable that a little bit more. We don't have a mobile hit scan slot right now, guys. Why are we so eager to nerf dash and updraft, but we hate the idea of nerfing her damage? And if we want to look at this chart, right? This that Coach Whistle's brought up. Her range is great. We could do some damage fall off. I'm okay with that. 50% damage fall off, going from 100% to 50% damage at 30 to 50 meters. I'm happy with that. And then also reduce her damage by 15, I think, is the threshold to make it so she doesn't 2-tap anymore. Is that 75, right? Yeah, 75. So it's 115, 230. She'll still 2-tap. Is that right? So she'll still 2-tap 225, so you could nerf it even more if you wanted to. But she won't 2-tap 250. Tank pressure. It'll go down so fucking much, dude. Like, she won't have the incredible burst damage that she currently does. She's doing 15 less damage per shot, with even less damage accounting for damage fall off. Her kill threat will go down. Her mobility will stay the same. How many other mobile hit scans did we see earlier? We see Freya, we see Sojourn. Sure as fuck ain't Cass, sure as fuck ain't Ashe. You can say Ashe has good mobility, but no, she doesn't. She has good setup mobility. She doesn't have good mid-fight mobility. That's not something common in the DPS role. It's not something common in the hit scan role specifically. I apologize. Her duels will still be good, above average, I would say. But it'd be taken down a pretty big peg with a reduction in her primary fire damage and her take aim damage, because she won't be hitting 2-taps and she won't be out DPSing Ashe scope shots anymore, or unscope shots anymore, with just her regular shots. She will actually have a power budget that makes sense, because right now her power budget doesn't. Like, 2 seconds longer of a cooldown for vertical mobility at the cost of it not being omnidirectional minus the down aspect. Because Coach, like, if we want to compare these two, because they're the most easy to compare, Coach Gun doesn't go down, Updraft doesn't go down, Coach Gun goes any direction, not down, Updraft obviously only goes up, 2 second longer cooldown, and this, I think, goes a little bit higher. And then, like, the scope shots, Freya's is better because her dash resets them. Unscope shots, Freya's are better. They're maybe a projectile, but there's no damage fall off, they're great for spam, and they have higher DPS, and they're bigger because they're projectiles. So at close range, they're better just killing people. Why are we so focused on the mobility aspect? Is it because mobility is annoying to play against? Okay, fine. If you really hate mobility that much, if you would really rather have another generic hit scan character in the game rather than a mobile one, sure. Keep asking for Freya's cooldowns to be nerfed. Don't actually ask for the thing that will affect the character.
And the top of her reasonable answer. Freya can survive while maintaining an angle. If Ashe gets dove, she often has to use Coach Gun to escape and has a worse position for the next 10 seconds or so. Freya has enough mobility to escape while also maintaining a good position for the team fight. While this is a good answer, Sojourn...
And I'm fine with Freya being able to do something like this if her reward is lower. For me, it's just like Tracer, right? Nobody cares that Tracer has such good mobility. Some people do. They need to shut up. But nobody cares that Tracer's so mobile. Because they care that she has too much damage now, so they might care that she's so mobile, but nobody really cares. They care that she is annoying, maybe. They don't care that she does stuff like that. They don't care that she rotates quickly. Nobody cares about that. The only thing that I think is really a problem is the 2-tap. I think it's fine that Freya can go from one angle to another and finish off a 50 health bar cast. I think that's fine. Because if a character has all of their cooldowns and they are meant to be a slightly more mobile character, they should be able to rotate into a separate angle and get a kill. Fucking what? A DPS character with mobility cooldowns can rotate and do DPS? You're blowing my fucking mind! Do you see what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. Come on. Like, are you really trying to tell me that a character with all of their cooldowns available shouldn't be able to rotate when there's a character with high mobility?
It would also be much more difficult to, balance the character in a way they have a real niche and aren't just vying for viability with the other hit scans at the moment.
I just don't understand this argument.
While this is a good answer, Sojourn, especially with her double slide perk, also has this capability, and her pick rate hasn't been as dominant as Freya's currently is, besides when she's had a one-shot or equivalent, which Freya doesn't have.
To be fair, Sojourn does have the one-shot with her ult, and I also do think the double slide is stupid, because Sojourn is designed around, like, the slide being a one-time use, and the double slide doesn't sacrifice enough, in my opinion. Like, it does sacrifice the jump, it sacrifices a little bit of duration, but I think that it should sacrifice a tiny bit more, maybe in movement speed, maybe in the jump distance. I think that the jump isn't sacrificing enough, in my personal opinion.
So what gives? What does Freya have that other hit scans don't? Let me just show you this clip from professional play.
Freya has mobility and a 2-tap. That's what she has. She has mobility and a consistent 2-tap. That's literally it.
Unedited and uncommentated, and see if you can figure out what it is. Did you catch it?
It was mobility and damage.
No. Let's look from the enemy tank's point of view.
If that was a Pharah, you wouldn't care, dude. This is... Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Look, Coach Whistle. You are great. I love Coach Whistle. Coach Whistle's content is incredible. If this was a Pharah, you wouldn't give a fuck. I'm just saying, if this was an Echo, you wouldn't give a fuck. Are we really saying that a mobile character is bad because of vertical mobility? If this was a Juno, you wouldn't give a fuck. Really? Because a Winston couldn't dive a character in the air who got a kill? This is so petty. I'm sorry. This is just so petty. This has gone from I disagree to this is such a petty fucking argument at this point.
Here lies the fundamental problem with Freya's design, which allows her to be played almost anywhere and completely dominate the meta. Hit scans generally have to choose between shooting out the enemy tank or shooting the enemy backline with their position. Positions best suited to
Okay. Let me replay this again.
Almost anywhere and completely dominate the meta. Hit scans generally have to choose between shooting out the enemy tank or shooting the enemy backline with their position.
Okay. So if the problem is a character having to choose between shooting the backline or the tank, then you must also hate Tracer, Sombra, Reaper, Venture, Widow. You have to dislike those 5 characters as well. You have to admit that. Or Pharah, or Echo. And if your problem is specifically hit scan, specifically a hit scan, having that capability. What? First off, Freya's not true hit scan. If your problem is true hit scan damage, having this capability, it doesn't. If your problem is the main DPS role having this problem, what is Pharah in Pharah Tracer? The main DPS. What is Echo in Echo Tracer? The main DPS. Like, I just don't understand your point. Freya is a hit scan variant in a way of what Pharah and Echo are doing. And the problem is just that she two-shots people. And that she just does too much damage. Are we gonna, like, Pharah is a bit bigger, Echo's a bit bigger. Are we gonna harp on Freya for these things? Like, for not being big enough, or having too much mobility? I don't see it, man.
Positions best suited to forcing enemy tank typically don't have the greatest line of sight on the enemy backline, or if they do, the enemy tank can quickly and easily deny it. Due to Freya's mobility, she can quickly and easily shoot the backline past the enemy tank. This may not sound particularly novel.
You have to mention Pharah in this video. The way you're describing your problem with Freya, you actually actively need to mention Freja in this video.
And if that's all I had to say, it may not be, but there's more to it. Let's give an example from trying to win this choke on King's Row's second point. If there is a tank holding the choke and a backline on Bookstore, Freja can just completely and utterly ignore the tank with her flight ability and run into the backline.
If she wants to die, no Arisa below platinum or above platinum is gonna just let that slide. What?
No other hit scan is capable of doing this. Let's get a simple recap here.
But Venture is, Tracer is, Pharah could potentially be. And if your argument is, oh no, Freja would do it too slow, she would do it at the same exact fucking pace.
Of how each hit scan would be forced to approach this fight. Cassidy doesn't have the mobility to bypass the tank, so he's forced to sit here and fight. By the time he forces the enemy tank to leave, their backline might be long gone, or he may have had to run away due to being low HP. Soldier, yeah, don't play that hero.
True.
Ashe actually has a way to damage the backline from here in Dynamite, but that's all she has. She can't move any further, and I think a little boom and burn on 2 or 3 people is different from killing 1 or 2 of them outright.
It is really hard.
Sojourn is,
I have to give her some credit, it is really fucking hard to hit Dynamite with that crosshair.
as expected, the one who can do this closest to how Freja does, but she's still lacking an angle. Sojourn either has to use the rail to force enemy tank out, meaning she can't kill a squishy after forcing it, or she has to slide in away from the enemy tank, meaning that she's now vulnerable in the enemy team, or at the very least, has a limited angle from this high ground position. Freja does not suffer from any of these caveats.
Do you see how long she is just floating in the air here? If the enemy team is awake during this, they will just kill the Freja. Unless the whole team is perfectly, like, unless this is a true, like, whole team is walking in here, swinging in here very well, and the other team is genuinely just worse, this shouldn't work. This example that Coach Whistle's currently giving just should not work. I hate to say it.
Some of my viewers are smart and will recognize that this isn't the end-all be-all. There are still 2 ways for a hit scan to potentially get into this fight, being the high ground window or the right side flank. Window allows you to see the enemy backline without having to look at the tank, but once the backline backs away from Bookstore, which they usually will when fighting a tank, a hit scan is going to struggle to extend without the enemy tank turning around and eating them alive.
You just split the tank. This is such a petty argument. What is your point here? So your problem is that different characters will have different goals, and this example doesn't even work because Sojourn has forced the backline out to force the tank to be alone, who is now a free kill.
Know who doesn't have a problem with that? Freja. This right side angle certainly may not have any inherent advantages for Freja compared to other hit scans, but as far as a hit scan...
Oh, it's definitely better for Freja here. Yeah, this is the one time I would argue that you could do this with Freja, but still, you should die doing this. Like, if anybody is marking that lane, you should be dead. You should not be able to get away with this.
An angle goes, it's not too amazing anyways due to being far too congested and punishable. And this is just one example. There's even more parts of Freja's kit that break basic rules of the game. She has multiple disconnected movement cooldowns, meaning that, in this clip, Slowdive is able to start in a completely safe position far away from the teamfight to poke enemy tank, then get into the brawl while still being able to escape with his updraft.
So, your problem is having multiple mobility cooldowns.
What about Venture or Tracer?
Sorry, is it specifically a hit scan with multiple mobility cooldowns? Because I really don't think I understand why that is such a specifically important problem.
Or what about her air stall, giving her access to things no other hero in this game has? Like,
okay, let's talk about some characters with access to something that no other character has. Let's talk about how, let's see, Ashe is the only DPS in the game with a consistent damage over time effect to consistently apply the DPS passive. Or like how Bastion is the only character in the game with the ability to burst down a tank that fast. Cassie's the only DPS in the game with the ability to hinder an enemy without their ultimate. Or how Echo is the only DPS in the game with multiple lives available to them thanks to her ultimate. Do you see what I'm fucking saying? Every character is a character with something only they have access to. That's the whole point of playing a hero shooter. Is your problem that the float is a little too strong? Maybe, but don't use the argument that she has something no other character does. Every character has something no other character does! That's why you play a hero shooter!
This clip from the team fight to poke enemy tank, then get into the brawl while still being able to escape with his updraft. Or what about her air stall, giving her access to things no other hero in this game has, like this clip from Cabe, who, by the way, is awesome to work with, using Freya's air stall and verticality to make this part of Circuit Royale trivial, even though it's nearly impossible for hit scans usually. Or what about the fact that her vertical mobility can eliminate cover from many positions?
You could have done that on Farah or Echo, by the way. Both of those characters can emulate the air stall. If your problem is that she's a hit scan with those attributes, she's not a true hit scan with those attributes, she's a projectile DPS character. If your problem is that she is a mobile character with a 2-tap, your problem is the 2-tap, not the mobility. Because you can see examples of multiple of the characters in this game with significant mobility. Farah has 3 ability cooldowns. 3 mobility cooldowns. And that's not a problem. Tracer has 3 mobility cooldowns. And that's not a problem. Venture has 3 mobility. Do you see what I'm saying? Mobility cooldowns are not a problem.
Like here, where
I am actually losing my mind, because it feels like I'm watching this and getting no solid information.
Far away from the team fight to poke enemy tank, then get into the brawl while still being able to escape with his updraft.
Like, I think it is okay, like, especially here.
Team fight to poke enemy.
A Cass could have done this, by the way. A slightly better
Slowdive is able to start
Cass.
in a completely...
If the Cass was here to start the fight,
safe
could have shot the... They could have shot Crocs,
far away from the team,
jumped off the high ground,
fight to poke enemy tank, then get
and rolled out from this position. Cass could have done the same thing here. It would have been more difficult. It would have required better planning, but a Cass could have done this. A Sojourn could have done this. Admittedly, the fact that Freya is able to do some of these things while also being able to do her other things. This is something that she hasn't pointed out yet, so I apologize I've been getting so frustrated at this. The fact that Freya can do a lot of the things that she can do outside of what she's talking about is what makes the things that she's talking about problematic. It is the mid-fight poke, the 2-tap potential, paired with these things. That's the problem. But I think that these things are what's cool about Freya. The fact that she can do things that no other DPS can, like take these angles, or at least no other hit scan slot can do, like take these angles, is awesome. She fulfills a niche that almost nobody else can. And you want to take that away from her? You want to make it so that then, instead of her being unique, you just want another hit scan in the game? Do you just want to delete Freya and just have her be another Cassidy? Like, I don't understand what you want from her. Like, the things that make her unique, the things that make her Freya, are the dashes and the updraft. Take away 25 damage off of her scope shots and 7 damage off of her regular shots. That's fine with me. Because then she is forced to be balanced around her cooldowns more. Then her power budget opens up massively and you could do some wild things with her. Like, bring her cooldowns back down to 3.5 seconds for her dash and her 10 seconds up for updraft. Give her some wacky and wild perks. Rebalance them a little bit. So then she actually has competition. It's just not, she has 2 perks. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't understand the hatred for her mobility cooldowns so much.
Or what about the fact that her vertical mobility can eliminate cover from many positions? Like here, where Seafull goes for a perfectly acceptable
Danny, come on, man.
staging dive onto Julia and still gets bursted down anyways, because surely that's okay for a hero.
Yeah, it is kind of fucked up how Seafull gets bursted down here, isn't it? It is kind of fucked up how a DPS with this much mobility and so much damage, isn't it? That's kind of fucked up, isn't it? The damage is kind of fucked up, isn't it? Seafull takes other damage here. I'm not sure what this is. I think... Is that Gorilla? That is Gorilla. I think Gorilla was able to get a couple of shots onto Seafull as well. But damn! It's kind of weird that Kiriko and Freya have a lot of damage, isn't it? It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's almost like Kiriko shouldn't do 60 body shot damage and Freya shouldn't do so much damage, isn't it? It's almost like the tank should just be instantly bursted down for trying to set up, isn't it? I think we might have our priorities a bit mixed up here.
Critical thinkers of you might say, well, Farah can do the same thing.
Okay. We're bringing up the Farah point. Let's hear her out.
Directs do almost as much damage as a Freya bolt, and she's airborne too. While there is somewhat of an argument to be made here, Freya is much harder to kill due to her hitbox and dynamic mobility, and more deadly too since her projectiles are faster.
Okay. You're correct. 100% correct. Freya is more mobile. Arguably. Because Farah has the vertical mobility passive as well as giving her horizontal mobility, as well as having 2 horizontal mobility cooldowns and that vertical mobility cooldown that gives her more passive mobility. Very similarly designed, the two heroes, realistically, if you think about it. Slight problem. The two problems with those two heroes is, one, I think Farah shouldn't be 225. I think that's stupid. And 2, the main strength Freya has, the 2 main strengths Freya has over Farah are hitbox size and damage. Damage. You can fucking kill people so easily.
Yeah, that slightly reduced damage that Farah is dealing turns out to be pretty impactful when it doesn't 2-tap 250 heroes.
Roping back in a bit, we can see how Freya breaks some fundamental rules of the game, but more importantly, unlike Sombra and Roadhog, she doesn't have to make any sacrifices for it. Freya can eliminate cover from certain positions, reach verticalities that nobody else can, and be much less killable in the air than any other hero, but she still has really good kill potential on the enemy backline, really strong tank pressure, insane mobility.
Okay. So let's rewind a little bit and re-listen to her points. I want you to be very, very attentive to listen here.
Freya can eliminate cover from certain positions,
Eliminate cover from certain positions through her mobility.
reach verticalities that nobody else can,
Reach verticalities that nobody else can, which isn't true, by the way. Other characters can get as vertical as she can, but through her mobility.
and be much less killable in the air than any other hero.
And be much less killable in the air than any other hero, which is true, thanks to her mobility.
But she still has really good kill potential on the enemy backline,
And the problems are her kill potential,
really strong tank pressure,
her tank pressure,
insane mobility,
the ability to threaten the backline, and the ability to have incredible vertical mobility, and the ability to be unkillable is now separate from the mobility.
and is very hard to beat in a duel.
And that is a fair point. The 3 buts, 3 of the totally valid, inarguable for me, buts are: she does too much damage, she does too much damage, she does too much damage. Her niche, the most easy thing to pin her down in and make her unique in, is the mobility aspect to the character. That is what makes her different from any other character in Overwatch. It's her mobility. Why would you want to strip that away in favor of the damage, when you just said the problem is the damage, and the damage?
Let's take a look at how Lip, the best hit scan of all time, plays her versus Zeta
True.
Division, a top Korean team, to see her.
Actually fucking true. Lip is better than Stalker, don't at me. Send it.
The first fight sees Crazy Raccoons try to take this top left via brawling. This
It's very dangerous. I don't like this call 90% of the time, personally.
position is notoriously hard to push as 5 members due to
Yes.
how congested the choke is itself, alongside the fact that hit scans and flex supports have a very limited and narrow line of sight. Lip, however, being on Freya, uses her jump to bypass this entirely, giving him a skylight view of the enemy team. Since
Isn't that fucking cool, though? Like, is this bad game design that a character can bypass this? I don't think so. I think the problem is that she can bypass this and then kill somebody for it. It's like Widowmaker. I don't think Widow Grapple is the problem, because Widow Grapple does the same shit I think the problem is that after she grapples, she could just one-shot someone.
Flora is also on Freya. He opts to use his bolts to try and duel her.
Now, obviously, 50 minutes in for the recording, I want to specify Coach Whistle is mostly talking from her experience as a coach, from her experience as a competitive, from her competitive experience, right? That is what she's talking from, not from her experience as, a game design person or like a game designer or something like what I usually do, which I am a commentator and I make a lot of videos on game design, right? I'm not exactly a game designer. Far from it. I have no experience on that front except for a video that's currently in the works. Problem is how I feel this video was presented, being that it was presented in a way that says her design is the problem, and I disagree with that. I don't think the problem is Freya's design. I think the problem is Freya's balance. And there is a distinct difference there. The design of a character is how they're built to be. And the balance of the character is how they take those building blocks and manipulate them. Tracer is perfectly designed, but they've been meddling with the balance a lot. Genji is perfectly designed, and he's got great balance to boot. Widowmaker is horribly designed, but they've been doing their damnedest to balance her. There is a stark difference between design and balance. And Freya is a perfect example of beautiful design and gut-wrenching balance.
But it's worth noting that he also had the option to just kill this Juno if he aimed for her and hit the shots.
Yeah. But I also think that that's the problem with Freya, is that she can just do that.
Over ability that no other hit scan has to reach a position and line of sight, taking out Finn. Lip uses his mobility to skip this usually dangerous...
Let's count the characters that can use their mobility to skip this notoriously difficult choke. Ashe, Bastion, Cassidy, Echo, Freya, Genji, Hanzo, Junkrat, Pharah, Reaper, Sojourn, Soldier, Sombra, Sim, Tracer, Venture, Widow. There are 2 damage per second characters that could not do this. What?
He uses his fly, giving him the option to take out either Finn or Flora. He misses these shots, but as his team flips the map, he uses the opportunity to...
And that's something that she has been hesitant to mention this whole time, by the way, is that it's so fucking hard to do these things on Freya, by the way. She's allowed to be strong because she's hard. And I know that's usually not a great excuse for balance, that you can't just make a character good because they're difficult. You just can't. But Freya is allowed to be pretty good because she is so absurdly difficult. Now, she is too good still to this day. No arguments here. But she is allowed to be good. And let's be fucking for real. Do you want this, or do you want to go back to Torb? Do you want to go back to Bastion? Do you want to go back to Mauga?
Missing most of his shots, but aiding with the kill onto Flora. After some kills and ults get traded...
And, again, she's allowed to be strong because she's so fucking hard. This guy is the best to ever do it. And he's diving the backline with 30% weapon accuracy in this fight. That's why she's allowed to be good.
Critical viewers of mine may have noticed something odd about this thus far. Lip is missing a lot of his shots, as in he has only hit 2 of his attempted bolts on squishies thus far. Many may believe this brings into question as to how good of a player this actually is, or if this is even effective playstyle at all. There have been 3 team-to-team interactions thus far in this game where each member was involved in a teamfight. In that time period, Lip has found 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities where it was possible for him to get a kill that his team would not have otherwise gotten.
And he did trade his life for one of those.
Until you've truly analyzed it and seen how it functions.
Yeah, and I'm also, by the way, Lip is the best to ever do it. He's an incredible player. At no point have I ever tried to say that he is bad at the game. The only thing I've ever tried to say here is, shit, dude, Freya's hard. And even the best players in the world are not going to be consistently hitting shots or bringing out the maximum Freya can.
He could just open up the next fight with a kill onto Flora and poke phase and shut both of us up.
To be fair, he did have to do some crazy, crazy mechanical outperformances. Like, I think that Freya, like, let's be real here. I think that another nerf that Freya could use is this. This is pretty big. 0.75 projectile radius is pretty fucking big. Like, let's compare it to Ash again, 0.07. Like, this could just be 0.125, and I'd be happy.
Open up the next 5.
Yeah, it was reasonably close, but I think a smaller projectile wouldn't have hit there.
Patiently waits for his Orisa to approach before soaring to the window and looking for a bola as well as some bolts.
Another thing, Bola is a very hard ultimate to hit.
He then looks back to the initial team fight and obliterates the tank with the aforementioned obscene pressure before dying due to his
Interesting cut there, Whistle.
initial team fight and obliterates the tank with the aforementioned obscene pressure before dying.
You hear that too, right? That's an interesting place to cut there. The insane pressure what?
States rights to do what?
That her damage can pump out? The insane damage pressure that she has? Is that what we're talking about?
Where he manages to find Flora pressing the advantage,
No
landing
way.
both bolts
That's fucking dumb.
onto him and securing an opening pick.
I have to say, that's so fucking dumb.
As he pushes forward,
Like, there's nothing... There's a reason she isn't going into detail about this, is because it has nothing to do with her mobility with this kill.
to back away from Zeta Division's attempt to get more kills, where he manages to find Flora pressing the advantage, landing both.
Like, that is, again, exceptionally difficult. But that's the fucking problem with Freya, is that she just two-taps you from any range. If there was damage fall off on one of those shots, like, that's definitely more than 30 meters, I want to say. If she didn't do so much damage, if the projectiles were smaller, this kill probably doesn't happen. And that's why I think this character's dumb. It's the damage, not the mobility. It's just like Pulse Bomb. They both build their ults super fast, but they are both very difficult to hit. And Freya's, even if she hits it, doesn't guarantee value the same way Pulse Bomb does.
Zeta using Ray and trying to run him over. Thankfully, he's on Freya, so he can use this bullshit, so he
That's funny. Okay.
can tactfully and gracefully use Freya's kit with skill not beknownst to our universe to run away from a Tracer at 16 HP and survive with the help of his team.
That was genuinely clean, though, from Lip.
He's up back main with Zeta using Ray and trying to run him over. Thankfully, he's on Freya, so he can use this bullshit, so he...
Like, that's genuinely clean use of the mobility. That's cool, man! Like, that's not that crazy. Like, a Genji couldn't have done this exact thing, but a Genji could have done something very similar. Like, I don't think this is that crazy. I think the problem is that Freya can kill people while doing this, is my main problem.
He can tactfully and gracefully use Freya's kit with skill not beknownst to our universe to run...
My God, that is actually so fucking cool. Come on.
He spends most of his time here denying a walk-up from the enemy Orisa using his obscene tank damage before his team... Actually 2, now that he has the major perk, since technically if he hits all of his headshots, he can kill 2 squishies. He
doesn't need to hit headshots, he just needs to hit body shots.
Now that he has the major perk, since technically if he hits all of his headshots...
Yeah, I thought I misheard that for a second. You only need to hit body shots, especially for 225 HP targets. If they receive healing, like, they still die. It does 130 per bolt, which is 260 for 2. That's on body shot. You don't need to hit headshots. Let's also be very clear. No Freya is ever going to hit 2 kills on a flank like that unless they are the best player in the fucking world, because that is so incredibly difficult.
A third to Finn, a second to Flora, which he actually lands, and
So we're seeing how difficult this character is again.
Crazy Raccoons cap the point.
All of that, and Chorong has already diffed Alpha Yi, and Bernard is already dead to Shu. Like, that's not problematic at all what Lip has done. Like, he is just playing a good character. That fight was as unproblematic as can be, I think. Like, it's such a difficult character that the best to ever do it got like 6 chances and connected one of them. Let's count this, by the way. One thing that is absurd is her damage.
Number 2, she can create so many free kill opportunities. Abuse it.
Use her mobility to shoot squishies. The way she's describing it is through her damage again. Nerf the damage.
Number 3, these kill opportunities are best synced with when one's team pushes.
This is just a general piece of Overwatch. She's just describing how to play Overwatch. Just time it with your tank. So, if you're watching this from a perspective of somebody, I'm leaving a like here because this is a good video on a couple of senses. The main sense is if you're watching this from the perspective of somebody who is just wanting to improve at the game, this is a great video, right? You will understand the game more. You will understand Overwatch more. But if you're watching this with this in mind, broken by design. I understand. You're a YouTuber. You got to clickbait a little bit. But there's a difference between something like this, something like this, something like this, yada, 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 and something like this, where this is a blatant misrepresentation of what the video is about. And that is why this video exists. I'm still not even sure if I'm going to upload this. But Coach Whistle is a great YouTuber. I highly recommend you check her out. I love her videos. She's great. Please check her out. Freya is not broken by design. Freya is broken by balance. Bring this down to 75. Bring this down to 0.125. Bring this down to 25. We're good. Because then she's not hitting the one-shot, the two-tap combo anymore. Right? She still can on 225s, but I think 225 is its own problem, right? Why do we have so many 225 HP heroes? Like, we've got Echo, we've got Freya, we've got Juno, Kiri, Lucio, Mercy, Moira, Pharah? Pharah's huge. Why is she 225? Sombra, Widow. Like, that's 10 225 HP heroes compared to in the past where 175 and 150 had 2 residents, being Tracer and Widow. I think that 225 is a bigger problem than Freya, and I think Freya's damage is a bigger problem than her mobility. I think that Lucio should be brought back to 250. I think that there's an argument for Mercy or Moira to be brought back to 250. I think that there's an argument for Echo to be brought back to 250. I think there's an easy argument for Pharah to be brought back to 250. Watch this video. Watch more of Coach Whistle's content. Of all of her videos, watch the Gushui video. The Gushui video is incredible. Please watch the Gushui video. But yeah, thanks for watching.